The Eagles just locked in 14 players to their practice squad. Most headlines treat it as routine. However, you'd be surprised to learn that in the list, stories of unfinished careers, late bloomers, and desperate opportunity-seeking rookies are hidden. Some were drafted high and slipped. Others went undrafted but refused to fade. All of them are still chasing the proof that they belong in Philadelphia. So, which of these names will stay hidden and which could make their way into the spotlight? Let's figure out, starting with Chance Campbell. He came into the league as a 6th-round pick by the Titans in 2022. Injuries severely hampered his progress, and by this offseason, he was looking for another shot. The Eagles brought him in late during camp, and he proved enough to land here. Campbell's game has always been clean. Granted, he wasn't a linebacker at Maryland and Ole Miss, but he played downhill, trusted his reads, and finished tackles. Coaches have been pretty happy with his reliability, and that trait still gives him a chance to stick. Presently, Philadelphia's linebacker depth is thin, which makes his role worth watching. Nakobe Dean has been down with injuries, and behind the starters, there isn't much proven experience. Given that scenario, Campbell may not be a headline signing, but he surely offers competent run defense and physicality in the middle. He's on the practice squad for now, but that doesn't close the door. If his body holds up and he keeps producing in practice, he's the type who can be elevated on short notice. The next name is different. It's less about grinding in the trenches, more about winning matchups in the air. Yes, we're talking about Elijah Cooks. He is easy to notice on the field because of his size. At 6'4", he offers the kind of frame coaches look for in contested catch situations. That trait helped him carve out opportunities with the Jaguars, even though most of his time there was spent on the practice squad. Cooks showed flashes in the early weeks of Eagles camp. His physical style and jump ball wins literally stood out. However, a shoulder injury somehow affected his game. Even so, he made enough of an impression to earn one of the practice squad spots. The Eagles do not lack talent at wide receiver because there are A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. However, they do lack depth behind them. Cooks gives the team a different type of option, a big body target who can work the red zone or provide insurance if injuries strike. His challenge is consistency. At Nevada and San Jose State, he produced but also battled setbacks that limited his exposure. The tools are there, and Philadelphia has shown it prefers keeping receivers with unique skill sets around. Next on the list is a former 1st-round pick who arrives in Philadelphia looking for a career reset. Well, it's Kenyon Green. He is one of the most recognizable names on the Eagles practice squad. Green entered the league with high expectations after a standout career at Texas A, and M. Houston gave him plenty of chances, starting him in 23 games across his first 2 seasons, but injuries and inconsistent play cut into his momentum. The Eagles traded for Green earlier this offseason, a low-risk move that fits their long history of developing offensive linemen. Philadelphia has built its reputation on turning raw or struggling linemen into reliable starters, and Green represents a classic project with pedigree. At 6'4" and over 320 pounds, he has the size and strength to hold up inside. His issues in Houston were more about technique and health than raw ability. On the practice squad, he will have time to refine footwork and conditioning without the pressure of starting immediately. Historically, the Eagles prefer depth along the line more than most teams. If Green can stay healthy, he may eventually be more than a practice squad placeholder. He has the draft background and experience to push for real snaps. The next player is a tight end, and he's already familiar with Philadelphia's system. We are talking about E.J. Jenkins. Honestly, he is the kind of player you root for. He went undrafted out of Georgia Tech in 2023 and landed on the Eagles practice squad, which is often where careers quietly fade. Instead, he worked, waited, and finally got rewarded. In Week 18 against the Giants, he caught his first NFL pass, and it went for a touchdown. Moments like that remind you how thin the line is between being a roster footnote and making a memory fans will never forget. Jenkins has the physical tools coaches look for. At 6'6", he's a natural red zone option and creates mismatches against smaller defenders. His route running still needs polish, but he doesn't have to be perfect to be useful in specific situations. Notably, Jenkins is willing to do the little things, which gives him a shot to hang around. He's back on the practice squad for now, but his taste of the spotlight should keep him hungry. The question is, can he turn a flash into a role, or will that touchdown stay a one-time highlight? Share your thoughts in the comments. Meanwhile, let's check on the next name on the list. The fourth player, Brandon Johnson, is starting his NFL career the hard way. He went undrafted out of Oregon this spring, which usually means a short stay in camp before moving on. Instead, he impressed enough to stick around and now earns a spot on the Eagles practice squad. That tells you something about how he handled the summer. At Oregon, Johnson wasn't a star, but he showed solid coverage skills and a willingness to compete on special teams. Those traits matter for players trying to climb the ladder. He's not the biggest corner, but he plays with effort, and coaches notice consistency more than flash at this stage. The Eagles' cornerback room has big names at the top, but the depth is constantly tested. That opens a door for someone like Johnson if he continues to develop. Philadelphia has found contributors from undrafted corners before, and Johnson is hoping to follow that path. Right now, he's a name most fans don't know. A few months from now, he could be the player who gets called up in a pinch. Now, let's move on to the next name. Patrick Johnson has already been here before. Drafted in the 7th round in 2021, he spent 3 years in Philadelphia, carving out a role on special teams and as a rotational linebacker. Last season, the Giants claimed him after the Eagles waived him, but his stay in New York didn't last. When the Eagles had an opening this offseason, he came back. Johnson is highly versatile. He set the school's career sack record at Tulane, showing he could rush the passer. In the NFL, his role has been more about depth and special teams, but those snaps matter. Coaches trust players who know the system and don't need long to adjust. The Eagles' linebacker room is still unsettled, and Johnson gives the team someone they can plug in unhesitatingly. He isn't likely to be a star, but he's the type of reliable piece that helps a defense get through a season. It's hard to build a long career in the NFL without a specialty, and Patrick Johnson has lasted through the grit and consistency. However, the next player's path has been slowed by injuries. A 3rd-round pick by the 49ers in 2023, Cameron Latu was drafted for his athleticism and upside after playing at Alabama. However, almost as soon as he arrived, injuries held him back. Time on injured reserve with San Francisco stalled his development, and a short stint with Cleveland didn't open many doors. That led him to Philadelphia in January 2025. This is less about finding steady ground for Latu. He still has the size and movement. The question is, will he stay healthy long enough to put them to work? The Eagles are deep at tight end with Dallas Goedert leading the way, but they've shown they like carrying options who can grow into defined roles. Latu is competing for that chance. If he adjusts to the system and stays on the field, there's room for him to develop into a useful piece. His career so far hasn't matched his draft status, but he's still early in the process. And while he's looking to get back on track, the next player has been searching for a new home too. Terrace Marshall entered the league with pedigree. A 2nd-round pick out of LSU in 2021, he came from the same wide receiver room that produced Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Expectations followed him to Carolina, where the Panthers hoped he would become a reliable outside target. It never quite worked out. Across 3 seasons, Marshall had flashes, but never established consistency. After short stints with the 49ers and Raiders, he was looking for a stable opportunity when Philadelphia came calling. At 6'2" with speed, he still has the tools that made him a high draft pick. Marshall represents a low-risk bet for the Eagles. Their receiver room is set at the top, but depth matters in a long season. Marshall has experience, and if he finds rhythm in Philadelphia's offense, he could be more than a practice squad body. The challenge is confidence. Receivers who bounce between teams often lose trust in their role, and rebuilding that is as important as the physical side. Marshall's career hasn't gone the way many expected, but at 25, time is still on his side. The next profile moves to a rookie quarterback learning what life in the NFL really looks like. Kyle McCord is at the very beginning of his NFL path. Drafted in the 6th round this year, he came to Philadelphia after a college career at Ohio State, where he started one season and showed poise in a high-pressure environment. Playing quarterback for the Buckeyes means living under a microscope, and McCord handled that well enough to get drafted. In the preseason, he saw plenty of action. He appeared in all 3 games, starting the finale against the Jets. He threw for 136 yards, showed calm in the pocket, and gave the Eagles a look at how he handles game speed. Like most rookie quarterbacks, the learning curve is steep, but those live reps matter. McCord is here to learn behind Jalen Hurts and Marcus Mariota, believe insiders. The practice squad gives him time to develop without the weight of immediate expectations. His arm strength and decision-making need refinement, but the foundation is there. Few late-round quarterbacks stick in the league long-term. McCord has to prove he's an exception. While his journey is just starting, the next player has already been on a long road. It's Parry Nickerson, who knows what it means to fight for a roster spot. Drafted in the 6th round by the Jets in 2018, he has since worn the uniforms of 7 different teams. That kind of journey usually belongs to players who refuse to give up, and Nickerson fits that description well. His career highlight reel isn't long, but it includes moments that show why teams keep giving him chances. This preseason against the Jets, he made a diving interception that reminded people of his quickness and instincts. Plays like that buy time in a league where opportunities are short. At 29, Nickerson is one of the older players on Philadelphia's practice squad. Experience can work to his advantage, especially in a cornerback group that leans younger. He has seen enough NFL offenses to understand spacing, disguise, and leverage, even if he hasn't been a full-time starter. The Eagles have leaned on practice squad veterans before when injuries hit, and Nickerson has the profile to be that type of insurance. He may not be a long-term solution, but he's a steady presence to call on if needed. Next is a rookie lineman built like a mountain. Can you guess the name? Holland Pierce doesn't blend in on a football field. At 6 feet 8 and 341 pounds, he's one of the largest rookies in the Eagles building. Size alone doesn't earn a roster spot though. Pierce had to prove himself at Rutgers, where he developed into a steady starter and earned second-team All-Big Ten honors in 2024. Despite the college production, he went undrafted this spring. That reality is common for offensive linemen who aren't seen as immediate starters, but Philadelphia noticed the potential. The Eagles have a long history of identifying big, moldable linemen and giving them time to grow in their system. Pierce now joins that developmental pipeline. He brings his length and power. At his best, he can anchor in pass protection and move defenders in the run game. The challenge is adjusting footwork and pad level, tough tasks for players his size. Landing on the practice squad gives him time to work with Jeff Stoutland, one of the league's most respected offensive line coaches. That's a fantastic opportunity for a player who needs refinement but already has the physical tools. While Pierce is built on size, the next name is all about burst and speed off the edge. Antwan Powell Ryland comes in as one of the more exciting rookies on this list. The Eagles drafted him in the 6th round after a breakout year at Virginia Tech. There, he piled up 16 sacks. That jaw-dropping production shows why Philadelphia took the chance. Notably, he pushed a holding call on one snap against the Jets and stripped the quarterback on the next. According to analysts, Powell Ryland's strength is his first step. He quickly fires off the line and completely overwhelms tackles. However, he needs refinement, stronger hands, and better counters. Philadelphia rotates its pass rushers heavily, which could give him opportunities sooner. The practice squad lets him sharpen his game. If he develops the way the team hopes, he could eventually be part of the rotation that keeps the Eagles' pass rush fresh. Now, let's talk about the last pick, a newcomer with promise to a young corner the Eagles already trust. Andre Sam is one of the lesser-known names on this list, but his game is worth noting. He went undrafted out of LSU in 2024, spent most of the season on the Eagles practice squad, and managed to get on the field once, playing against Carolina. Insiders claim that Sam's strength is versatility. At LSU, he played multiple roles in the secondary. He used to switch between safety spots and handling coverage responsibilities. No, he doesn't stand out as an elite athlete, but his steady approach coach, and willingness to play anywhere in the back end justifyingly give him a chance to stick. The Eagles' secondary has its share of established starters, but depth is constantly tested across a 17-game season. That's where someone like Sam becomes important. He might not be in line for immediate playing time, but the team clearly sees him as someone worth keeping around for development. His job now is to turn last year's small sample into something more. And with that, the picture of all 14 practice squad signings comes together, where each one holds a one-of-a-kind possibility for Philadelphia. What do you think? Who has the best chance to make an impact from this group? Let us know in the comments and subscribe in case you haven't already.